I think one of the things that will help students transition to college better, but will also just help them lead a better, more informed life, is to read more. I think the single biggest thing that I hear from a lot of students is that they don't read much. They read email, they read Facebook posts, but they often don't read, say, a newspaper. Well, there's nothing says they have to, get their fingers black reading, newspapers. Their New York Times is online free, and there are all kinds of things that are available online in ways that, students can read. I mean, we don't all sit down and read pages and pages of articles in the New York Times, but to be able to look at headlines and see what's going on and just stay on top of things. I think that's huge, and I think students don't realize that that would actually help them with their writing skills, as well as their reading skills, help them do better on placement tests, will help them with all sorts of things.
Pre-reading is basically when you look at a chapter, you want to be able you don't want to just jump into the reading. You want to be able just to look through the whole chapter and figure out exactly what the author is trying to tell you. Most students believe that reading is like a novel. You just jump in and you want to be surprised at the end, but with expository texts or college textbooks, you want to look at anything that's bold, any pictures, anything that is italicized. You want to read the introduction and the summary. That way you have some idea what the chapter's about, and it's going to activate that prior knowledge that you may have. And then another thing is that, as I mentioned before, as you're reading, make sure that you're taking notes, you're writing in the book. And one of the strategies that sometimes I tell my students to do is to read with a pen or a pencil in your hand. And that's going to help you stay what's called active. Keeps your brain connected, because lots of times if you're reading, you may start daydreaming and thinking about other things. So if you keep a pen or a pencil in your hand, then that's going to keep you active. Then there's the reviewing. After you finish reading, you've taken your notes, you've highlighted, you're going to want to go back and look at those notes, look at the things that you've highlighted. If you've written stuff, you want to read that. And then I always encourage my students to summarize on a piece of paper what they think the author tried to say about that chapter. And if there's still some questions about some of the things that they can't answer, they're going to have to go back and reread as well.
Learning how to annotate your textbook. Some students will just read the chapter and they won't look at the key terms. They won't look at anything. And what I always told them is, if I have a 50-page chapter, I don't want to study 50 pages. I want to glean that down to 5 to 7 pages. I know I can do that material. That's manageable. 50 is not. So, get it down to the most important, concise points, take your notes, and then move on.
The first thing I teach them is, I'm a big KWL person. I'm because if you don't have a background or a question about what you want to know, you never know what to look for when you're reading. And that's the why are you reading? And I tell them the first thing you do, all my classes, is read the review questions at the end. That's going to tell you what to look for and what to pay attention to. Okay, what are you going to be graded on? I mean, that is the information you need to know. How do you know what it is when you read? What is important? They're going to guide you, and those headings and subheadings are paramount. Make a question out of the headings and subheadings. That's what's important in a developmental class. I think the skills. And the other skills are the schema skills. How do you build on what you already know? So the KWL model of study skill, what do I know about this? Or what are the questions I want to know about this? What have I heard about this? Did I hear it on TV, radio? I say go through your whole memory bank on this topic. I guarantee you will know something about it. Then you work from there. Then the W is, what do I want to know? What are you looking for? What are those questions that are most important? And then Did you learn to answer to those questions? Do you know what the main idea is? And what's the supporting detail that supports the main idea? That's it. That's what I stress. And critical thinking above all. Think it through. And I'm a big person, write it down. Ask questions in the margins. Doodle. Anything that helps you. And don't memorize. Don't think you have to, oh, I learned this, I said this, I'm going to have to bring that back. I said you never have to do that. Because if you've thought about it, it's going to come back to you when the question is asked. I don't know how it happens. I looked at studying the brain. I don't know all the brain, but I know how it functions, but I know how it works. I can't explain why the brain does it. And then I tell them, if you want to keep information, sleep on it before you go to bed. I mean, let that be the last thing in your mind. Your brain will work on it. I love that exercise on PBS where they were talking about the brain, and the person was playing the piano and was getting this one note wrong over and over and never got it right, but slept on it, and the next day it was perfect. This the cognitive ability of the brain. So let your brain do the work. Don't you do the work for the brain. It will do it if you put it in the right places.